HBO. Coming up next, live World Championship Boxing. Catch Dwight Braxton and Saad Muhammad in the scheduled 15-round light heavyweight title fight.
4-hour-a-day entertainment here on HBO.
I will smash you. I will crush you.
When are you going to crush something to the floor?
I'm very serious. I'm very serious.
I know you.
I'm very
You
serious.
were serious the last time.
No, I wasn't serious the last time. I took you too lightly. I took this man too lightly.
Muhammad Day.
I took this man too lightly.
That was on December 19th of 1981. Matthew Saad Muhammad lost 6.5 pounds in one day as Dwight Braxton pummeled the champion for 10 rounds and captured the WBC light heavyweight crown. Tonight on HBO Sports, you'll see the long-awaited rematch. Light heavyweight champion Dwight Braxton defends his crown against former champion Matthew Saad Muhammad. By day, Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. More recently, though, this city has been identified in the world of boxing by a fictional fighter named Rocky Balboa. But tonight, live from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. It's being billed as the Liberty Brawl, as WBC light heavyweight champion Dwight Braxton defends the crown he took from former champion Matthew Saad Muhammad. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. Welcome to the Spectrum here in Philadelphia. A long-awaited rematch that promises to be everything that the pre-fight billing said it would be. You know, Matthew Saad Muhammad was a fighter with a plan. He wanted to defend the title that he had 13 times, one more than Bob Foster's record of 12. But somewhere along the line, he was sidetracked. In his 8th title defense, an upshot by the name of Dwight Braxton stopped him in 10 rounds. Joining us once again, champion inside the ring and outside the ring, Sugar Ray Leonard. And Ray, I must say that Matthew Saad Muhammad is a guy really who has lived on the edge. He's been knocked down, he's gotten up, and he's knocked the man out. He's been behind 3 times in title defenses and has come back to knock the man out. But how long can you go to the well? Does the man have anything left?
I believe so, Barry. The fact that Matthew Saad Muhammad always been a slow starter. In fact, that was the mistake he made against Dwight Braxton. Started off too slow, and Braxton took advantage of it. This time, I believe we're going to see a different type of Matthew Saad Muhammad. Start quicker, be more aggressive. It may help.
Dwight Braxton, before the last fight with Matthew Saad Muhammad, said, "This guy fights the perfect fight for me. He plays to my style."
Well, both fighters, similar styles, but I believe that Braxton is the stronger punch of the two. This is going to be a very interesting fight. It depends on who gets off first and who lands the biggest punches.
You know, on December 19th, 1981, the last time these two fight, you wouldn't find any smart money betting on Dwight Braxton. Now, of course, everybody says, "I told you so," but then only one man did. Dwight Braxton himself.
I didn't want to make the boxing a guide to me. I still don't, make boxing a guide to me. Yes, I look at it as a job, a career, and something I'm taking pride in doing. And I do it well. I try to be the best at doing it. That's all.
Boxing was a way out for Dwight Braxton. He grew up in the ghetto of Camden, New Jersey, one of 13 children. As a product of the streets, he spent his youth in and out of reform schools. In 1972, he graduated from juvenile to criminal. At the age of 19, he was convicted of armed robbery of a liquor store. He served 5.5 years of an 11 to 15-year sentence in Rahway State Prison.
I went the wrong direction, man, so did a couple things and was reported. I was in Trenton, and I remember going to bed, wondering about the years that went by, and, feeling real bad, Could never get it back. So I said, well, at least I can just start from there. See, because it's never too late to start. That's the way I feel.
So, Dwight Braxton returned home in March of 1978. But later that year, he was fighting for survival again. An aspiring professional boxer was brought into Judge Peter Carusi's courtroom on assault and battery charges.
I was arrested, but it wasn't, I had showed that I had got away from the life of crime. And if I could show the judge that I was, on the right track, maybe you consider it. That's what we did. We went to court. No strings attached. I spoke up for myself. Had tears in my eyes, and I meant it. He let me go. You can call it a hometown decision, but he gave it to me.
Dwight Braxton was back in Camden and broke. The only person who didn't need to be convinced that an ex-con could be reformed was a butcher who set Dwight up with an apartment and a line of credit, Pat Giambroni.
Trust came from just knowing people and dealing with people. If you know people and deal with people, you could tell who you could trust and who you can't trust. And I knew it right away. I could trust him.
I meant what I said to him. I want to go ahead and become the champion. Do something for my family, myself. Show society that I really have changed.
Immediately, Dwight brought that determination into the ring. On May 31st, 1981, he was given his first shot at notoriety. Braxton wanted to escape what he referred to as economic slavery, exclaiming that Mike Rossman was in the way of my freedom. After 7 brutal rounds, the former light heavyweight champion could not escape Braxton's vicious combinations. On that day, an ex-con became a light heavyweight contender. Then on September 5th, Dwight returned to Rahway State Prison. He resented the celebrity status of fellow inmate James Scott, when both resided behind bars. He won a convincing unanimous decision, and then he gladly stepped out of prison and stood in line for a shot at the title.
Winner by unanimous decision, Braxton. Braxton, a unanimous decision.
December 19th, 1981, Dwight Braxton destroyed Matthew Saad Muhammad and claimed the light heavyweight championship of the world. Saad had plenty of excuses.
He boxed and moved, he tried to hit me, he tried to set me up. Now he's saying that he's trying to take something away, I guess, by saying that he was overweight.
He keeps saying that there was only a shadow of himself in the ring. I think he's been part shadow for quite some time. And hopefully he'll get it all together and bring the body that casts the shadow into the ring this time.
3 months later, Dwight put his title on the line with veteran Jerry the Bull Martin. Even though the rematch with Saad Muhammad lurked in the background, Braxton remained a confident champion.
I'm going to try to protect myself as the champion of the fight, physically, and try to protect my image. I feel possessive towards the title. It's mine now, until I'm ready to give it up. And if this is a hard task in my life I got to overcome, I'm overcoming it. I'm not going to let nobody stop me.
What began with poverty and decay grew into misdirection and a life of crime. Many ghetto kids like Dwight Braxton end up behind prison walls. But only a very few can reach for a better life and survive.
Here's a guy who has come almost from zero to what he is today. And believe me, that's one hell of an achievement.
The story of the champion, Dwight Braxton. He has his second title defense tonight. Championship boxing here on HBO just wouldn't be championship boxing on HBO without our own resident boxing analyst and expert in the field, Larry Merchant. Larry?
Dwight Braxton, quoting from one of his favorite characters in literature, Popeye, says, "I am what I am, and that's what I am." Meaning that he's a short, powerful stump of menace, and he fights that way, moving straight ahead. Saad Muhammad is more complex than that. Although he's built like a boxer, nice and sleek, and although he has the preening ego of a master boxer, he fights much as Braxton does, surprisingly, as if he has to prove over and over again that he can take a punch. Whatever the reasons for that style, it's popular and it's made him rich and famous. He has a wife who is a beauty queen, a Rolls Royce, and a $23,000 piano that he hasn't learned to play yet. The question tonight is whether that thrilling and but fiery style has burnt him out at the age of 28, or whether that fire alarm last December, when he lost the title to Braxton, was just a false alarm. He was complacently out of shape for that fight. So here he is again, unlike Braxton or Popeye, having to prove once again who he am. Let's take a look.
From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the World Boxing Council Light Heavyweight Champion, Matthew Saad. The Central Champion, Matthew Saad Muhammad.
Identity has not come easy for Matthew Saad Muhammad almost all his life. At the age of 4 years, he was abandoned by his brother Rodney on orders of his mother on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway in Philadelphia.
When I was lost on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, I was wandering and I was just lost. And I remember this woman came up to me and told me, what is my name? You know, am I lost? I was so scared, so frightened that I mumbled that something that sounded like Matthew. So from the Parkway, I did go to the police station, but still they was trying to find out who was my parents, where I came from. The policewoman turned me over to the Catholic nuns, and then they put me in this type of place, you know, for children.
He was given the name Matthew Franklin after the Parkway where he was found. And eventually he was adopted by John and Bertha Santos of South Philadelphia, who already had 10 children. Matthew was a quiet child who spoke with his fists on the streets. John Santos could not protect him from street gangs.
After being involved in the gang war, I liked it so well. Of course, I was the leader, became one of the leaders, and I had a knife about 10 inches, a 10-inch blade, and they locked me up in, you know, youth study center. It was like a reform school for children, boys and girls.
Finally, when Matthew was trapped in his last house of corrections, he decided to turn his life around.
I said, Dad, I'm going to fight. I'm going to be a fighter. I said, go ahead. He said, yeah, I'm going to be a fighter, and then I'm going to be a champion.
The day finally came on April 22nd of 1979. Matthew said he was bleeding so badly from cuts that he couldn't see the champion, Marvin Johnson. But miraculously, in the 8th round, the fight was stopped. Still, the newly crowned champion was obsessed with his clouded past.
So I said to myself, I know Magoo. You know, I'm going to place a $10,000 reward out on any locations of my relatives or my brothers and sisters, and then maybe, just maybe, I can find out. Several months passed. You know, 6 months, almost a year, and then finally I got a letter from a very good person of the family, and they said, hey, I know who you are. You are Antonio Maxwell Lewis.
After 3 successful defenses, Matthew Saad Muhammad had not only uncovered his original family, he had also established a reputation as the most exciting champion in boxing. Ring Magazine honored this brawl with Yaqui Lopez as the fight of the year in 1979. And after a typical Saad Muhammad slow start, he rallied to knock out Lopez and retain his WBC crown. February 28, 1981. The challenger's name had changed to Bonzel Johnson, but the script remained the same. Once again, the champion was tagged early, but by the 11th round, Matthew Saad Muhammad threw a barrage of punches to rack up his 6th defense of the crown. The legend began to grow. Matthew trained for his 8th title defense against Jerry Martin on board a cruiser on his honeymoon with his new wife, Michelle. It may have accounted for a typical slow start, but the outcome was also vintage Saad Muhammad. After an 11th round TKO, the champion seemed invincible. Or so he thought. December 19th, 1981 was the day Matthew Saad Muhammad lost 6.5 pounds in order to make the 175-pound limit. The result was a devastating loss to a hungrier fighter.
I take nothing from Braxton. I'm not trying to make any excuse. It's my fault. I ate some peanuts. I drank some water. I did things that I shouldn't have done. I'm not going into saying all the things that I did wrong, but I took this man too lightly. See, he don't even believe in himself what he did to Saad Muhammad. The shadow of Saad Muhammad.
The weight had a lot to do with it. Matthew not being in the best of condition because he underestimated Braxton.
And I just think all of us didn't do our job properly. We've been in seclusion now for 5 weeks. Matthew sent his wife all the way back home to Alaska. It's a different day. You know, won't happen this time. I know that I am strong, that I can get my title. And that's all that's in my mind now. Train hard. Train, train, train.
Matthew Saad Muhammad is a driven man again. He is searching for a home, a family, and a path. But today he yearns for the title which was his for over 3.5 years, the light heavyweight championship of the world. And remarkably, I think, two fighters, Dwight Braxton and Matthew Saad Muhammad. Braxton the champion, Muhammad now the #1 contender and the challenger tonight, with very similar backgrounds and ironically perhaps very similar fighting styles. Matthew Saad Muhammad will now be the first one in the ring. That is Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, formerly Eddie Gregory, said, knock him out, knock him out. One of the big questions about Matthew Saad Muhammad, if in fact it is a question, is defense. And when you look back on his record, Sam Solomon, the man who is out now as his trainer, replaced by Steve Trade, said, the main thing that I saw is that he really needs defensive help. One boxing wag said, no champion loses more rounds than Saad Muhammad, and no champion looks worse in doing it. Mustafa Muhammad, who you were just looking at, said, and this is a quote, he said, he gets hit with the same old punches. He hasn't been taught defense. Do you agree with that, Ray?
Well, Saad doesn't have the type of defense, especially going to the field of big punches. I think that he's able to take a punch. He's a very durable fighter, but yet he should work on his defense a little more, because fighters like Dwight Braxton, you can't just take those kind of punches and survive.
He has been working on defense, trying to box more. With a new trainer, his fourth trainer, incidentally. But there's a serious question, and you would have to be skeptical that after fighting all of his fights one way, that he can, for any length of time, fight another way. That as soon as he gets hit, he figures to revert to the style that got him here. And why shouldn't he fight in the style that he's gotten here? There's an interesting contradiction that I have found in all of the pre-fight hype. That's the fact that he was indeed out of shape for the first fight. Whether it was 6 to 7 pounds, I don't know. Some people think it was half that. But he was out of shape mentally and physically. If so, why does he have to change his style? Why can't he beat Braxton just by getting in shape?
That's interesting, Larry. I would agree.
Braxton, of course, considers himself, oddly enough, to be more of a boxer than he does a puncher, and Saad Muhammad, in describing himself, calls himself a boxer-puncher. Somebody's going to have to translate both of those for me.
But fighting a guy like Braxton, you have to be a little more strategic than to stand there and change blow for blow.
There was a great line that was offered up about Dwight Braxton before the last fight. They said, his arm's too short to box with Saad.
Kind of cute.
This is Matthew Saad Muhammad making his way into the ring. It is a long way from the dressing room here at the Spectrum into the ring. He looks very relaxed, and that, of course, as you pointed out on numerous occasions, Ray, is the real key.
Well, the second time around, he was capitalizing on mistakes. He's trained very hard, and I really believe, Bert, we're going to see a different Saad Muhammad.
Saad Muhammad looks very warm coming out of the dressing room. He is making his way toward the ring now. There's the ring post, and he will be in the ring in just a moment. And here is Matthew Saad Muhammad. Neither fighter in this fight has any excuses. You heard Matthew Saad Muhammad, the last 3 words he said in that profile piece, train, train, train. And that is what he has done. There is one other item that, while training for this fight, he did hurt his knee. And down the road, that could become a factor in this fight, possibly.
Well, Saad has tassels next to his shoes, his boxing shoes, so I think we're going to see a little dancing from Saad.
Here is the record of Matthew Saad Muhammad. 32 wins, just the 4 losses, 2 draws. He has knocked out 24 as his opponents. He has made a career out of coming from behind. And, of course, the biggest question, and one we posed at the top of this show, Larry, can you go to the well one too many times?
Well, he's had 10 championship fights. When you fight for the title, you don't leave anything in the dressing room. And that's what we're here to find out, whether he can pull it together one more time. We should mention that the people who don't feel any sentiment or don't care necessarily that this is a great neighborhood rivalry and war think that Braxton is a decided favorite by somewhere between 2 and 3 to 1.
Matthew Saad Muhammad playing a psychological game back at the press conference to announce this fight back at the end of June. Gave Saad a monogram crying towel and a bathroom scale That, of course, going back to the 6.5 pounds that Saad says he had to lose before the last fight, and that is what sapped his strength and thereby lost the title for him. So Muhammad in the ring, Braxton making him play a bit of a waiting game, although Braxton is now making his way out of his locker room and toward the ring. And here is Dwight Braxton, the champion. And he looks very calm, although I must say just at a glance, he looks to be a little bit more tense than Saad Muhammad.
Well, he's a very determined champion, very proud champion. And I'm quite sure Braxton feels it's going to be even a tougher fight against Saad Muhammad.
You know, for light heavyweights, they're making a lot of money. Somewhere between the two of them, between $700,000 and $800,000. But this fight is worth even more, much more to the winner, because there does figure to be a unification as Michael speaks down the road, which will be by far the greatest purse in the history of the light heavyweight division, perhaps a total in excess of $3 million. So they have every reason to be very serious about what's going on here.
Championship belt being held aloft by Dwight Braxton's people. Interesting to note, too, the fact that Dwight Braxton has only had 19 fights. After 3 fights, he was 1-1-1. And he changed management, and since that time, he has not lost a fight. And he has never, as you look at the little psychological game going on in the ring, Saad Muhammad just smiling at Dwight Braxton, who was all business. Take a look at the record, 17-1-1 with 10 knockouts, but he had no amateur fights. And that is a very difficult thing to come along as fast as he did.
Well, with a guy that's able to punch like Dwight Braxton, he's able to get away with that. The amateur experience, no problem.
You might have noticed the words ice cream, incidentally, on the back of Dwight Braxton's robe, and that is because his brother Charles, who died at age 35, died of many, many complications caused by years in an institution and many, many problems. He is dedicating this fight to his brother Charles, who died just a few months ago. Now let's go up to the ring announcer, Ed Darian, for the introduction to the fighters. I'll explain a little bit more about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Before I introduce the principals for this title bout, we have a few celebrities in attendance. First off, I'd like to call on the former heavyweight champion of the world from Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on Smokin' Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier is one of the most popular fighters ever to come out of Philadelphia, and there have been a lot of top fighters
Where is Smokin' Joe?
Did you know that he really inspired the scenes from the Rocky picture that had to do with Rocky beating up on those slabs of beef, because Joe Frazier worked in an abattoir when he was just coming up as a fighter.
Michael Spinks.
Michael Spinks on hand, and of course he is taking a look at what very likely will be his next opponent, the winner of this fight.
Come on up here, Michael. The weather is just fine.
I want to elaborate for just a moment. Ice cream, which is on the back of Dwight Braxton's robe, was what his brother Charles always called him, they said, because he was so sweet to him.
Champion, and now doing the color work for HBO, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Biggest round of applause to the man on my right, Sugar Ray Leonard. You used to fight, didn't you?
A little bit.
Also in attendance, the former middleweight champion of the world from Philadelphia, Joey Giardello.
Another Philadelphia fighter.
Also another young man in attendance. He has a title fight upcoming in October for the Cruiserweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on Bash Ali. Bash Ali, who takes on S.T. Gordon in October for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Joey Giardello is a terrific middleweight champion. Many people thought he was the best middleweight since Ray Robinson.
Also in attendance here is Bash
took
Ali.
the title from Dick Tiger.
Also in attendance, the former heavyweight champion of the world and now is boxing commissioner for the state of New Jersey, Jersey Joe Walcott. Also in attendance, another young man, the World Boxing Association's junior welterweight champion, Aaron the Hawk Pryor.
Taking a lot of time with these announcements now, and can't help but wonder if that doesn't cause some of these fighters perhaps to cool down a little bit.
Yes, the longer you wait, the more chances are you will cool off. And the guys want to stay loose, so they're going to move well as much as they possibly can. I never liked the announcements.
Here comes Aaron Pryor, also in attendance, an up-and-coming middleweight contender from your hometown here of Philadelphia, Curtis Parker. Aaron the Hawk Pryor, here he is. Also in attendance, the United States Boxing Association middleweight champion. He too is from Philadelphia, Frank the Animal Fletcher.
We're being introduced to boxing royalty here in Philadelphia, from the kings all the way to
the serfs.
Frank the Animal Fletcher. Also, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, the heavyweight champion of the world from Eastern Pennsylvania, Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes.
a lot of light heavyweight and heavyweight champions
Now,
from the Philadelphia area.
If you would all please rise, as the former Miss Black World and a wife of Matthew Saad Muhammad, the lovely Michelle Muhammad will now lead us in a singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
National anthem being sung by Michelle Muhammad, the wife of Matthew Saad Muhammad. Ray, the fighters have now been in the ring just about 14 minutes, and once again, it is a situation of being in there and standing around, and with all the people in there, you can't even really move around and stay warm that much.
And that is mandatory to keep loose as up to a fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Liberty Brawl, the World Boxing Council's light heavyweight championship, which is scheduled for 15 rounds, and is being promoted by Murad Muhammad Incorporated in association with the Spectrum. It's approved and sanctioned by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, the Honorable James J. Binns, Chairman. The judges for this title bout: Dick Young of Los Angeles, Tony Perez of New York, Tony Castellano of New York. Representing the World Boxing Council, the representative from Los Angeles, Mr. Don Frazier. The timekeeper at the bell is J.P. Mina. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Thomas Melandro. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled WBC Light Heavyweight Championship bout, referee Carlos Padilla. And now, boxing fans, introducing the principals. First, in the red corner, wearing the all-red trunks, he is weighing in at even 175 pounds. This young man has a record of 32 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, with 24 knockouts. The former World Boxing Council Light Heavyweight Champion from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the challenger, Matthew Saad Muhammad. Saad Muhammad. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the blue trunks with the red trim, he is weighing in at 174 pounds. This gentleman has a record of 14 wins, 2 losses, with 9 knockouts. The World Boxing Council's light heavyweight champion from Camden, New Jersey, the Camden Buzzsaw, Dwight Braxton.
So there is little left to do except simply get on with it. Dwight Braxton affecting the Joe Frazier trunks by Omar the tent maker. Well, here is the tail of the tape, and of course the biggest difference here is in the height of the two fighters. 5'6" and 3/4. Braxton actually shrinking 3/4 of an inch for this fight. 5'11.5" for Saad Muhammad. That will not likely be a factor, but the one thing that I must ask you, Saad Muhammad's best punch is the right cross. And isn't it a difficult punch to throw against a guy who is not only 5'6" and 3/4", but crouches down below that?
Well, Braxton is a brawler. He comes in, he keeps ducking very low. The key punches to this fight for Saad Muhammad is to bring his punches under instead of over, because he will miss.
Strategy, of course, will be a major part of this fight. And Saad Muhammad's strategy will tell right off the bat. He did, after a fashion, try to box with Dwight Braxton in the first round of the last fight. He threw 44 jabs. Not too many of them scored. Braxton then started getting under it, and after the 4th round, Saad Muhammad did away with jabbing and boxing. And ultimately, Braxton did away with his title. So we'll settle it. Two fighters come from similar backgrounds, both brawlers, both crowd pleasers. This one should have a lot of action right from the opening bell.
Both men are tight, Barry. Look forward to an early knockdown.
Left jabs by Saad Muhammad. Quick, straight left jab.
You notice that left uppercut by Saad? That's the kind of punch you need to throw.
That was a very good right hand by Dwight Braxton. That was the punch that did the most damage on Saad Muhammad the last time.
Another thing, Braxton has a very stiff and powerful left jab, and would snap the head of Saad when it throws him off balance.
And another right hand by Dwight Braxton. Saad Muhammad over his career has absorbed an awful lot of punishment. There's a right hand by Saad. Left hand, and that was Saad really moving his head back rather than the punch moving his head back. Both those punches a little bit short. This is the the first round, scheduled for 15, of course. WBC Light Heavyweight Championship. Braxton on the left of your screen. We come down toward the halfway point of round one.
Both men are really throwing bombs. Very early, they're still tight because of the long wait from the announcement.
Braxton, of course, has never had to go past 10 rounds.
You notice Braxton stays very low. It's difficult to hit a fighter with straight punches, sir. Saad has to bring his punches go under. Uppercuts will be very effective against this guy.
Right hand again scores by Dwight Braxton. And for just a moment, Saad Muhammad wobbled. Braxton applying the pressure on the ropes. That is not a smile, incidentally, on the face of Dwight Braxton.
Braxton still launching that right, overhand right. He started to telegraph.
You can see Muhammad trying to punch down on Dwight Braxton. Difficult thing to do.
Very difficult, because Braxton's a big, solid puncher.
There's a left hand to the head, and again Muhammad against the ropes. Braxton after his man now. And mugs at Saad Muhammad. And time, there are still 24 seconds in the round. Still time to go. This crowd, while not a big crowd, is a very vocal crowd. Referee Carlos Padilla thought he heard the bell, but there was no bell. This is the first round in a very fast-paced first round.
That's what Saad needs to do. Bring him money like he's over it on this ball. Right up his back.
Well, earlier we had the opportunity to gather some boxing experts, and we had them analyze Dwight Braxton's strategy for tonight's fight with the man he beat back in December, Matthew Saad Muhammad.
Strengths and weaknesses, and the obvious weakness for Saad is that he is a slow starter. And if you pressure him and never let him get off the dime and build up the lead, you also sap his strength, and that's what Dwight did last time.
You don't have to show up to beat Matthew Saad Muhammad. You have to have bad intentions. You have to be in great shape and to back up your bravado with dynamite punching.
And I think eventually Braxton is going to start wearing him out in a very hard fight. This fight is not going to have any loser, but it is going to have a winner, and that winner is going to be Dwight Braxton.
So those are the voices of the experts. We are ready for round two now. Very quick pace in the first round, and the fight going pretty much according to script. Saad Muhammad trying to box, trying to stick the jab in the face. Braxton getting a couple of good overhand rights, and I would have to think it was Braxton's round as he forced the action most of the way and scored with the biggest punches. Second round now.
Saad Muhammad needs to bring Braxton out of the crowd. Once Braxton comes up after trying to land an overhand right, Saad should try to counter with an overhand right or either an uppercut.
And there is Braxton just kind of bullying Saad Muhammad, pushing him into the ropes. They have likened Dwight Braxton's style to that of Joe Frazier, but some of the boxing buffs around here seem to think that while the style is similar, that Braxton is actually a better defensive fighter than Joe Frazier was.
The right hand that Saad landed on Braxton, not really doing that much damage because Braxton's very low, and he's able to weapon storm each time.
Saad, of course, has had a history of cuts. That has been a problem. And historically has started very slowly. Another right hand by Braxton scores to the side of the head of Saad.
Notice how effective Saad's jab is. He must do this against Braxton, keep Braxton off balance, because if not, Braxton still going to gain momentum.
Here's the right hand of Saad Muhammad wobbles. Braxton tries to follow up with a left and a right to the body and an uppercut to the chin. Braxton forcing the action, another right hand, sends Saad against the ropes.
Saad needs to get out of there.
Saad trying to fight his way off the ropes, ties up Braxton in the center of the ring. Braxton right on top of him again. This is a looping left. Saad with his back to the ropes once more. Takes an uppercut, tries to fight his way off, but Braxton pins him. Saad seems to have his legs back now. Tries a chopping right hand of his own and misses at long range.
Saad has history of getting hurt and come back very, very strong. But against Braxton, he needs to keep Braxton in the center of the ring and keep him off balance. If not, it's going to be another replay of that barrage of punches thrown by Braxton.
So once again, the script going just according to Hoyle. Braxton forcing the action early, Saad being hurt early. Left hand to the stomach and a pretty good shot that time by Saad. Combination combination. One scores. Braxton just kind of mugs at him. Comes back with a right hand of his own. And another right hand to the back of the head. And Saad again wobbles and is against the ropes. Saad holds on to the ropes, takes an uppercut. Braxton won't let him off, and Saad stays right there. Combination force Saad into the ropes once more. Braxton trying to measure his man now.
Braxton has this one working the body.
Saad on the ropes again. Braxton spins him around as we wind down here in the second round. Saad holding on. And another right hand, and Saad slumps into the ropes once more. Saad bleeding now from the nose. End of round 2. Big round for Dwight Braxton.
I told you to hold him on the inside, didn't I?
That's Steve Trace, who is the new trainer of Saad. Saad has been trying to box. He's obviously out of character.
How do you feel?
Okay.
Now, will you hold him when you get on the inside?
Let's take a look at the 3 runs if we can.
Doesn't mean you're a coward if you grab.
Huh? Let him alone. In the nose and out the mouth. You hear what I tell you? That's it.
Braxton is
You got to put them together, Matthew. You got to put them together.
You're not doing that.
See what he said to you with the overhand right on the inside, coming up through the middle.
Later on, but he is absorbing so much punishment that he won't have anything left later on unless he squares away and stops Braxton from coming at him.
And Braxton right out of the corner at the bell, hammering away at Saad again. Remember, Saad's corner said to hold on. Braxton with 4, 5, 6 left hands.
Saad is still dazed from that barrage of punches.
And bleeding from the nose again, and Braxton catches him with another right, and another. Saad reels against the rope. Saad is hurt, there's no question about it. Combination by Braxton against the rope. Saad cannot fight his way off the ropes right now. He's going to have to stay away from him and try to get his legs back.
That's what he's trying to do, Barry. He's trying to get his legs back together, but he needs to move. He can't stand against the rope against Braxton.
Saad still on rubbery legs right now. Braxton stalks him. Saad still bleeding from both nostrils. And a right hand scores again. Saad's left hand down around his hip now. Open to the overhand right.
You may see Saad set up Braxton for an left uppercut and overhand right.
Saad continues to jab. Braxton misses a wild left hand. And there's a left hand that scores and a right behind it. Braxton throwing in combination and scoring very successfully. Another right hand sends Saad against the ropes. Try to hold on when he gets inside, and Saad has been unable to do that. And there's another right hand. And back into the ropes goes Saad again. Saad tried to touch gloves there. And Braxton continues to punish him. And a stunning right hand. And down goes Saad Muhammad. A smashing right hand. Muhammad is up very quickly, but he'll take the 8 count up first. So far, it has been a horrendous mismatch. Still a minute to go. Saad tries to fight off the ropes. He is in trouble on the ropes. He looks like a beaten fighter right now.
Braxton just too much now. He's too aggressive, much too strong at this point for Saad. Saad tried to start early, but was unsuccessful.
Saad still trying to fight off the ropes, but he's getting back to the ropes, bleeding from the nose. Braxton has owned the fight so far.
Saad to the right hand, and I think the dazed Braxton, and Braxton he's able to intimidate him.
Inside the 30-second mark, Braxton trying to intimidate him. The left hand and the right is a little bit short, but the left scores very successfully, and Saad against the ropes again, takes 2 more left hands. And now ties up Braxton. Another combination, a right and a left behind it. Braxton a little bit short with that one. Saad still on the ropes. Still bleeding from the nose, in a lot of trouble here. Braxton misses a wild left hand, scores with the right hand. Into the second round, another big round for Dwight Braxton.
Breathe at it. Breathe it in. Will you hold him on the inside? Arms and
Will you hold him on the inside? You got to fight him a little bit, Matthew. You're waiting for him too long. He's catching you with the overhand right.
Take a look at the knockdown. The main thing that's happening here is...
How do you feel?
Okay.
You sure you're all right?
Hit Braxton and stop his advance.
Okay, Kay, now. Fight him now.
Braxton does have a strangely effective defense, Ray, because even though he's coming in, he is unhittable. He's like a turtle, right?
Now you got to go.
Put his head down.
Fight down on that mountain.
He comes
Fight
like
down
real
on
strong.
him. Now you got to fight him, Matthew. You got to fight him. Hands high. Hands high, you hear me? Matthew, turn the punches up.
Dwight Braxton is ready to go. Saad Muhammad a little slow off the stool. He is still on unsure legs right now. His corner asked him how he felt, and he said, I feel fine, but sometimes actions can speak louder.
The fact that Braxton never had an amateur fight is truly amazing. He's just so built. His physique is incredible.
And did not have his first fight until the age of 25. Started to fight on the encouragement of a friend. And we asked him, what about his friend? What happened to him? And he said he died of an overdose. And that's just the kind of life that Dwight Braxton has come from. His brother Tony, a professional fighter, was a heroin addict, is now a counselor in a drug abuse program.
Saad needs to start bringing punches under because he's still trying to land that overhand right, and he's not been successful with it. The left uppercut and overhand right would do a damage to the fighter of Braxton's style.
Saad still looks very slow, keeps that left hand buried. 2 minutes to go here in the third round. Wild right hand by Saad. Jab being very effective by Braxton. Braxton actually fighting at longer range than I expected he would have and being very effective at it.
Well, that left jab of Braxton is very strong.
Braxton, a fighter who is just on the improve. Every time out, he seems to get a little bit better. There's a left hand that hurts Saad and backs him into the ropes once more. And Saad's on his bicycle again and also on unsure legs once again. Combinations to the face and another left hand and an uppercut scores. Saad is in trouble again. Big trouble here.
I really felt that Saad was going to be a different Saad Muhammad and do a little more boxing. But he has one style and a straight fight going straight ahead.
Saad just unable to catch his breath. Braxton has him smothered at all times here. A minute to go. Combination to get a right hand and a left hand and blood all over the face now. All from the nose though, but all over the face of Saad is Braxton. Punished him with two. A left and a right against the ropes again, and he reels to the center of the ring, takes a right hand and another left hand. Carlos Padilla taking a close look here. Saad back to the ropes again, takes a left and another right hand. And Saad is really reeling here. This fight does not have long to go. 30 seconds to go in the third round. And another right hand hammers Saad into his own corner. Saad just trying to cover up and weather the storm here. Takes another right hand, still on his feet. And another chopping right hand by the champion, Dwight Braxton. Coming down on 15 seconds remaining. Saad just trying to get through this one. Get the minute to breathe. Think about what's going on here. Braxton has just been hammering him unmercifully since the opening bell. Another left hand and a right hand by Braxton at the bell. Merciless beating being handed out by Dwight Braxton to the challenger and former champion Matthew Saad Muhammad.
How do you feel? How do you feel?
Once again, Matthew Saad Muhammad has often been behind early in fights,
What are you doing?
but I don't think he's absorbed quite this much punishment in the process. Let's take a look at some of it. A clean right hand, another one high in the head.
Did you hear me,
The
Matthew?
left.
Matthew, do you hear me?
He's trying to box,
him enough,
but he really doesn't know how. He's got to go on the offense and put Braxton more on the defense, Ray.
Well, out of the three, I believe Saad has to be a little more aggressive and get on the offense instead of backing away because he's giving Braxton momentum.
You see his body, go around his body and up through the middle.
In Dwight Braxton's corner, the words from the man himself, I'll finish him. So in Braxton's mind, this is the last round of the fight. Let's see if he can make good on it. Saad is still on very, very unsure legs. and blood flowing rather freely from the nose.
Another mistake that Saad is making, he's standing directly in front of Braxton. Give him a little more lateral movement.
And once again, Braxton hammering at him, takes an uppercut, a vicious punch, and a left and a right, and again against the ropes is Saad Muhammad in trouble. The snap in Dwight Braxton's punches is a marvel. Combination again scores to the face of Saad Muhammad in the center of the ring. Muhammad trying to yield his corner's advice and hold on, but he just seems incapable of doing it.
You never really can count Saad out, although I never like seeing a fighter take this much punishment.
Saad doesn't seem to have a lot of steam in his punches. Braxton, I believe, is playing a little possum here. The crowd comes alive as Saad flicks out some punches, but I don't think they're of any effect.
I doubt it very seriously, Barry. I believe that the rounds that Braxton came out very strong, very aggressive, he's probably a little arm weary.
That was an uppercut from Saad, but it didn't hurt Braxton at all, even though it scored to the chin.
Now this is where Saad should take advantage.
Saad taking a good left hand from Braxton. You can see his head just pop back every time he takes a shot like that.
This is the best time for Saad to take advantage of Braxton arm weary.
3 left hands from Braxton, scoring the face of Saad Muhammad, who again goes against the ropes, takes 3 more punches. Padilla is there taking a close look again. Saad Muhammad taking an awful beating so far. Right hand to the top of the head, but Braxton doesn't take a backward step. Saad misses that with the right hand by Braxton. And another right hand by Braxton. Just about all of Braxton's punches scoring to the face of Saad Muhammad. And another one.
These are big punches by Braxton.
And hardly missing any. A lot of people shaking their heads here at the awesome beating that Braxton is administering to the former champion right now.
Well, you see Braxton, all of a sudden he's waiting now, trying to get a second breather.
30 seconds remaining here in round 5. Muhammad scores with a couple, but he doesn't seem to have any sting in his punches, and Braxton hasn't backed up at all. Left hand did get in on the chin of Braxton. And there's a right hand by Braxton, and you can just see the difference in the punches of the two men. Left cross by Braxton. A breather round as we come down to the end of this one.
Let's listen to Braxton's corner. Okay. Come on. Okay. His trainer is Quenzel McCall. Been training in Philadelphia for a few hundred years. Let's take a look at some of the replays in that round. Braxton is just under 5'7", and he keeps that head down when he's not punching, and he's just awfully hard to hit.
I'm telling you, don't lay on that rope. When he lets you lay on that rope, freaking hold it. You understand what I'm telling you? Don't lay on that rope.
Right into the body, man. Right into
When Braxton opens up like that, Saad's going to have to go at him because he's at a point of no return.
Well, simple advice being offered in the corner of Saad Muhammad. Don't lay on the ropes. There again, advice in the corner is easier said in the corner than it is followed in the ring.
Well, he can't afford to lay on the ropes, Saad has to throw more punches.
That was a left to the head of Braxton thrown by Saad Muhammad, but the punches just don't seem to affect Braxton in the least. And another left hand by Braxton sends blood spitting across the ring. Saad Muhammad staying at long range here and trying looping kinds of punches that do not seem to have a lot of sting. Even his jab doesn't seem to have much sting in it. The one thing that might be said is Saad Muhammad has had at least the last round and so far in this round to catch his breath a little bit. Braxton hasn't caught him quite as much. You can hear how hard that punch lands. Combination again, and there go the legs once more. And another left hand, and there goes Master Saad Muhammad against the ropes again. Bounces off the ropes. taking an awful beating here from Dwight Braxton. Again, a close look from Carlos Padilla as Saad Muhammad reels into the ropes again. It's almost defenseless, and that is the end of it. And it's a mercy killing, I assure you. Carlos Padilla stops the fight. Dwight Braxton, tremendously impressive in this victory. And there was really no doubt about it, right from the opening bell rang.
Well, right from the opening bell, Braxton initiated, controlled, very aggressive. He was able to hurt Saad Muhammad in the early rounds and stay right on top of him. Never gave him a chance to breathe.
Now, this was a case, I think, that Dwight Braxton really kind of went out and won the fight. It wasn't so much a case that Saad Muhammad, I don't believe, has it anymore. I think it's just that Braxton is just getting better with every fight.
Well, Braxton has improved every fight that I've seen him in. He's getting stronger. And I'm really surprised that Saad, I figured that Saad Muhammad would be a little more strategic and do a little more movement.
But he took no prisoners in this fight. And you can see the two of these guys are really good friends. And it's the kind of situation, again, you have to do all the pre-fight flash and talk about how much you dislike each other, but in fact you really don't, and that's the case with these two. Let's take a look once more at how it ended, and a very wise choice, I think. Carlos Padilla really coming in at the right time. Take another look.
Well, Bert, this shot here shows some of the punches that Braxton was able to land on Saad. He had Saad in trouble. That left hook there did a great deal of damage, and at this point now, Saad is in deep trouble, and Carlos Padilla did the right thing of stopping the fight.
Braxton, coming into this fight, was supposed to have really had only one damaging punch, and that's that overhand right, but he really showed a tremendous arsenal tonight.
I've never seen him throw so many punches in one particular round.
Here's another angle here, and you can see once again Saad just reeling from that left hook.
Well, this is a very good angle to appreciate Braxton's power. He puts his whole body behind each punch, and you see how much damage is done with those left hooks and right hand. And a
straight right hand that you saw right there, too. He also scored earlier in the fight with an uppercut. He was just very effective, and not unlike Sugar Ray Leonard, he didn't waste a lot of punches.
And he was able to come back every time, took advantage of every opportunity.
Let's take a look once more at the first knockdown, and Matthew Saad Muhammad is a guy who does not often find himself on the canvas. Take another look.
Well, Saad started just a little too slow, and Braxton, with a big, strong left hook, was able to do away and put Saad to the canvas.
And I think you saw 4 punches there. He did not miss one of those 4 punches.
Braxton was very accurate with his punches, and a short man, very powerful. Very impressed with him.
Interesting note, too, that not one of the 3 judges in this fight, up to this point, had given Dwight Braxton, or rather given Matthew Saad Muhammad, a single round. That's how convincing Dwight Braxton was here. No question about how it was going. No question about how it would end after the second round. Right now, let's go up to the ring announcer, Ed Duran, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Carlos Padilla stops this bout at 1 minute and 23 seconds of the 6th round, and a winner by a TKO, and still the World Boxing Council Light Heavyweight Champion, the Camden Buzzsaw, Dwight Braxton.
All right, let's go right now up to Larry Merchant, who is with the still champion Dwight Braxton. Larry.
Dwight Braxton. Dwight, tell us, you didn't seem worried going into the fight at all. Why not? Why weren't you concerned about it?
I'm a lost guy. There's only one guy. I'm not worried about a Superman. Ain't no such thing as Superman. I knew that.
Did he ever hurt you or hit you? It seemed that you had an answer for everything.
That's right. I knew what he had. He said he changed. You can't teach an old dog Steve Trace. And you can't teach Steve Trace to an old dog. You can't teach an old dog no way.
Was the difference your defense? He seemed to be open for everything. You were going at him, and you seemed to be open for nothing.
I ain't telling.
Well, you're not going to fight him again. Why can't you tell?
Because Mike is watching. Huh? It'll be Mike and Ike. Mike is watching. I want to dedicate this to my brother Ice Cream. I'm going to call me Ice Cream. My brother Charles just passed away. I wish he was here, but I dedicated this fight to him. And I'd like to dedicate to all the kids in Camden and all over. Stay in school, don't be no fool.
Who do you mean when you say Mike?
Michael Think.
Are you going to fight Spinks to unify the title?
Yes, I will fight Spinks. I will fight Spinks, and I want to introduce one more of my secret weapon. The spirit of Allah sent me this brother. E-man Fareed Manir, who stayed with me the last 2 days, who helped build my confidence. We have supreme confidence. Because the fear of Allah remove all other fear.
Well, everybody has confidence, but some people have more ability. He had confidence, too. Why did you beat him?
I tell you, supreme confidence. Look, Allah Akbar, I can't give you the answer. I'll let you know when it's all over.
It is all over.
No, it ain't all over yet. I want Mike.
Well, you may get him.
He may get him. He may get me. I'm the ball. I'm the ball. With all the hassle. The male Camden, he's moving. He's moving too. Check the message.
Thank you very much. We're going to try to talk to Saad Muhammad. Let's go to Barry at ringside for a moment while we get Saad Muhammad in shape here.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay, thank you, Larry Merchant. I'm Barry Tompkins with Sugar Ray Leonard, and what we saw was a very, very convincing and, in fact, a lopsided victory, and I don't think there's any question right now but that there must be a fight between Dwight Braxton and Michael Spinks.
Well, there has been unification, Barry, because the public has demanded this fight, and it's a natural.
Every boxing match, of course, there is a winner and there is a loser. We have talked to the winner. Let's talk to the loser now, Matthew Saad Muhammad. He is with Larry Merchant. Larry?
Saad, you didn't seem to have any answers for him tonight. Why?
Well, he was very aggressive. Once again, I was in tremendous shape. Tried to box Braxton. Braxton proved to be a little more stronger than last time. I guess he was really eager to keep that championship. I was eager too, but he proved that he was stronger. I can't take anything from him.
Isn't it fair to say that you were easier to hit than he was?
It seemed like after the first round I was easy to hit, but afterwards I tried to just keep my jab out on him, but he just proved to be the most strongest guy.
Could you have done better if you just had gone to him and said, let's go at it, rather than trying to box, which you had never done before?
Well, I could have did that, but it goes to show that I wanted to prove something. I wanted to prove to people that I can box. I tried to do that. Maybe I should have took the fight to him. But nevertheless, he won, and I can't take anything from that.
Are you going to retire now?
I have plans on retiring. I've accomplished all my goals. I tried to come back for my title. I don't know. I think I may retire after this one.
What do you think will happen between Spinks and Braxton, quickly?
I like Braxton now because he's a much stronger guy. Spinks is very awesome. He's very awesome. And he might clip Braxton.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Appreciate it. You've been a great fighter. Now back to ringside for a moment.
Okay, thank you, Larry Merchant. Matthew Saad Muhammad had talked about retiring before, and what he said about that was he said, I can walk pretty well and I can talk pretty well, he said, and I don't want to wind up my career being a mumbler and walking back on my heels. I want to get out as I am right now. You know, the boxing world has been awaiting a unification fight in the light heavyweight division for a long, long time. Maybe now it's time to turn a dream match into reality. That dream match between Dwight Braxton and Michael Spinks. The boxing world awaits the unification of the light heavyweight championship of the world between Michael Spinks and Dwight Braxton.
I want to fight the unification title. The money's involved, the prize is involved, you know, and I want to be one champion long.
For now, WBA title holder Michael Spinks owns half of the crown, and Dwight Braxton's camp is wary of whether he's willing to risk it in a unification fight.
They're saying that they want us very bad, but they really don't. They don't want us that bad. They want to make money with us, but they don't really want to fight. But we want to fight with Michael. Just want to show the world that we can beat Michael as we're not now. And I know Dwight, that's the way Dwight feels. And like I said before, if he tells you he's going to do it, bet on it. He's going to do it.
I'm just hoping that nobody knocks Spinks out before we get to him, Because Spinks, in his last several fights, seems to be a lot of wear with Spinks. He seems to be faltering, and I just hope that nobody hits him, you know, and really does him any damage before we get to him.
So simply you have to say to Michael Spinks and the promoter that controls Michael that which one would he rather take? The winner of Braxton and Saad for the millions, or fight Eddie Mustafa, who is capable of winning the title for the WBA? And I strongly believe that they're going to make the right decision. And I want you to know that we're supposed to sit down sometime this week to close that deal for the unification.
And I'm ready. You know, I'm ready for the unification, and I would put it off no more rather than April or, you know, the spring, March, April.
It looks like it's just a matter of time before there's an undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world.
I guess we can call this one tonight the requiem for a light heavyweight champion. Matthew Saad Muhammad was a good champion and a champion who provided us with a lot of thrills. Obviously, he no longer can provide that. Perhaps it was also a requiem for a heavyweight boxing town. The fight crowd wasn't very good here in Philadelphia. The action has moved to nearby Atlantic City. Going back to Saad, he reminds me sort of Nick Romano in Willard Motley's novel Knock on Any Door. You live fast and you die young when you have to fight the way he has had to fight to be a champion. Looking ahead, there will be a unification somewhere down the road because it's going to be the biggest money fight in the history of the light heavyweight division. We Americans don't like fractional champions so much as they do in some other places. We have one welterweight champion, Ray Leonard, one middleweight champion, Marvin Hagler, and I think sometime soon we'll have one light heavyweight champion, and it should be a whale of a fight when it comes about. Back to Barry and Ray.
I think it's safe to say we saw a bona fide champion born tonight in Dwight Braxton.
Braxton, I'm very impressed with him, Barry. I think that he improves every fight. He's so stronger now and so effective.
Let's look ahead now. Everybody talks about Michael Spinks. He's a guy, of course, who goes back a long way with you, back to the '76 Olympic Games. How do you see that fight?
This will be a very interesting fight. I feel that Michael Spinks has the style because he throws his punches under and over to beat a guy like Braxton, although Braxton has the talent, the power, and the aggressiveness to beat a guy like Michael Spinks. This fight will depend on who's in the best shape and who wants to unify and hold on one title.
I think the bottom line of the whole thing is that this guy is improving so quickly. Reminder of the fact that he's only had 20 fights now, and he didn't start fighting until he was 25.
Well, that's what's so scary about it. You know, I said earlier that I wouldn't mind being light heavyweight, but this has changed my mind completely. I'd rather announce fights.
Don't want any part of that. That's
No.
right. You came out unscathed tonight. You know, F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "Show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy." I think in Dwight Braxton tonight, we found a new hero, and I think in his life, the tragedy has already been written. So for Larry Merchant and Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm Barry Tompkins, and we'll see you next time right here on HBO for World Championship Boxing. Join us then. Be sure to tune in each and every week for HBO Sports Race for the Pennant, an in-depth look at how the scramble for the divisional titles stack up around the major leagues. It premieres every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Also, don't miss HBO Sports coverage of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships. You'll see a selected match each day, live and in its entirety, right through the men's and women's quarterfinals. The 7 days of coverage premieres here on HBO Tuesday, August 31st. Producer of HBO Sports is Michael Fuchs. Produced by Ross Greenberg. And directed by Mark Payton. The associate producers were Linda Jackson and Rick Bernstein.
HBO.